Welcome to the Supreme Influence Show, the space to embody your infinite potential and fulfill your highest destiny. Hi, I'm Niurka, and I'm inspired to bring you this amazing episode. I am super inspired and grateful about our next master mentor who is joining us. So our next master mentor is a pioneer in the personal development industry. He is an individual who has walked side by side with all of the greats. He has walked side by side with Zig Ziglar, Earl Nightingale, but friends with Bob Proctor, who's also a dear friend of mine, Wayne Dyer. And he is someone who I relate to very deeply. He comes from some very challenging beginnings, as I do, and he has transformed his thinking and transformed his life. And through his own journey of his own transformational process, he has gracefully and graciously over decades shared everything that he's learned and discovered. He has shared the psychology of winning, the seeds of greatness. He has brought this wisdom to so many different areas. He's worked with athletes, he's worked with business leaders, Fortune 500 companies, Olympic athletes, the list goes on and on. And I think I've got right over here. See, this was, gosh, we're going back now. I had to bring this up because there I am with Denis. Can you all imagine this? It's like Niurka and the Kings is what I like to call this plaque. Back in 2008 when we were doing a tribute for Jim Rohn and Success Magazine was relaunching. So this is a profound honor. I'm so honored and inspired to introduce you all to the master mentor, my dear friend, Denis Waitley. Hi, Denis. Oh, Denis. Welcome. Denis has wisdom of the ages, timeless wisdom to share with us. Welcome, my dear friend.
Oh, thank you, Niurka. It's great to be with you. It's great to be with all of you. You know, the greatest part of this program is for me to watch and listen to the testimonials of the students. You get more from them than you get from the presenter, because the most important thing is for the teacher to be the student of the students so that they can learn more. So the greatest teachers are the greatest students. So I'm so excited to be here because my mission in life is to plant shade trees under which I myself will never sit. I am in my late 80s, I don't mind admitting it, and I am probably most likely to be in that very top group to has to be the greatest fear. But you know, when fear comes along, I bring my A game. So fear is my sentinel. Fear puts me ready to go. When things are at their worst, I need to be at my best. In fact, my best work, Psychology of Winning, Nightingale Conant sold $100 million worth of one album when there was only one other album, which was Earl Nightingale's Lead the Field. They sold $100 million worth of one album, which I wrote at the worst time in my life. Now, wait a minute. Don't you teach people when you're at the pinnacle of your life? Because then you can say, here's what I did. Here's the way I got to the top. And I can take you to the top the same place and the same way that I got to the top. But I wrote it for me. I wrote it because I wasn't doing what I could be doing to become a winner. So I was a spectator. I was losing. I was trying. I was struggling. But at the worst time, I did my best work. Because I wrote for me. Instead of blaming, I took responsibility. I shouted out the window, I'm mad and I'm not going to take it anymore. And so I developed a concept called POW because I've been working with prisoners of war. But POW means Prince of Wales to English students. It means power of women to many people watching right now. It means power of words if you believe in neuro-linguistic programming. It means putting on weight to people who eat too much. It means psychology of winning to me. So what is life? A perception through the eye of the beholder. It's not what happens to you, it's how you take it and what you make of it. And you know, in my late 80s, I'm trying to figure out what to do for a career. Let's see, I can't be an astronaut. They won't let me go. I won't be an Olympian unless they use chess or some other game like that. But I'm learning that, like Gandhi taught, I live as if I'm going to die tomorrow. And I dream and plan as if I'm going to live forever. I'm always looking for new challenges. I'm always looking for new neurons. I'm always looking for a way to help other people. Why? Well, if you have knowledge and money, it doesn't do you any good when you have it, because you don't want to die with your knowledge and or your money. So you want to share your knowledge and your money with everyone, which makes it worthwhile having earned it. And you know, I'm grateful for being on the program, because I'm not the expert. I'm not a household word, but I've been around since 1933. I've been around for quite a while. Yes, I was 8 years old when Pearl Harbor. Yes, I went through World War II. Yes, I wanted to be a writer, but instead became a military officer. After all, the Korean War took place when I was a senior in high school. So I went to Annapolis to the Naval Academy instead of going to Stanford or another college like that. And then after the Korean War, of course, there was the Cold War, and then there was polio, and there's all the things that are going on. And we had bomb shelters, and we were worried about things going on all through that. And I always thought we'd be at war, which is why I became a carrier-based nuclear weapons delivery pilot. But I don't want to kill people. I want to develop them. But I was defending something, and here I am today developing other people. So working with prisoners of war, with the Apollo program, you know, an astronaut is like you and me. They're going someplace they've never gone before, and their virtual reality is that place that no one has gone to. But yet they have to believe that the virtual reality becomes the new reality, because they're going to the most dangerous place on Earth, outer space, which you don't know what's going to happen there. So an astronaut is someone who practices within when they're doing without. A prisoner of war has to live within when they're imprisoned. And each of us is also an Olympian. You know, Niurka, you and I spent time talking about my work with the Olympians. For 2 Olympiads, I was chairman of psychology for the United States Olympic Committee Sports Medicine Council. My job, to create the performance enhancement for all American Olympians, all the sports, all of them. But I'm not the expert in that. I only think like that. So I'm a coach, but I'm not an expert in their field. So I hired the best sports psychologists and the best psychologists and psychiatrists in the world in that sport, and let them go and do their thing. And my job was always to keep the Olympian in mind first. And what I found, which is so relevant in what you've taught, what you're teaching, what happened today. You look at John Azarath and all the others who come on. No train, no gain. No brain train, you remain the same. Thoughts become things. Of course they do. You know what else they become? Thoughts are a biochemical, electrochemical process in which your brain is a series of surface streets and freeways. And it's got all this traffic going, all these thoughts, 95% automatic, 95% habitual. And yet 70% of what we see every day is what's wrong. So bad news, negative news sells, because it creates an awareness and an instant shock. So the thing you have to do is take the surface streets, the roadblocks, the barriers, the overpasses, and get rid of the construction zone and create a freeway. And you have to retrain yourself to become the person that you envision, the astronaut, the Olympian, the prisoner of war who wants to go home. What I learned from the Olympians is visual motor behavioral rehearsal, which is you must see it through your eyes. You must witness it through your emotions. You must feel it through your body, not from a spectator, not watching a movie, but through your own eyes. You go through the performance enhancement all the motions, all the emotions, and all the specific language. Those words that, you know, when you talk about neurolinguistic programming and words are so powerful. Keep your head down and get it shut off. Don't run the street, you get hurt. Be careful, you'll get the flu. If you're not careful, you're going to grow up just like your father. Beaver teeth, buzzer beak, motor mouth, turtle breath, Dumbo. I don't like you, I don't like your country, I don't like anything about you. Thank you very much. I'm into a self-improvement program, and considering where you're coming from, I consider it a compliment. I want to, I can. Next time I'll get it right. I'm a winner. I eat lean source protein. Water is my favorite fitness drink. I weigh, if I'm a woman, I weigh 120, 130 pounds and look good in a bathing suit. If I'm a man, I feel good at 175 and don't mind having my shirt tail tucked in. I put words with emotions and visual, motor, behavioral, rehearsal, the Olympian within. You must be an inner winner rather than an outer shouter. If you're an inner winner, you're doing within while you're doing without. And the words you use on yourself are the most important because, after all, no one knows you better than you do. And no one's opinion is so important to you as your own opinion of yourself. Be careful of what you're saying. Be your own best coach and best friend. The language of the mind, whether it's neurogenics or autogenics, is so powerful because words evoke emotion, visuals get emotions, and words and visuals and emotions are all interconnected. And when I said this brain is this great highway, electrochemical, what you want to release are endorphins. You want to release serotonin during the day. You want to release dopamine. You want to release the hormones of success and development. Not the adrenaline, not the ones that stun you in your tracks, not the things that make you want to fight or flee. You want to release the hormones of success. And that's what the brain does for you. It has no feeling, but it controls all feelings and all things that happen. So, you know, I may not be a winner, but I'm winning more than losing. I haven't arrived at success because it's always under construction, and it is a toll road. And I would have to say that M. Scott Peck was right, and so was The Tale of Two Cities. Let's face it, life is difficult. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. But the good old days are here and now. It's the best time to be alive in history. It's the best opportunity that we have, and after all, it's our time. This is our life. This is that moment in history when you take control of your future and you make it happen for you. Am I afraid? No, I'm alert. Am I depressed? No, I'm compassionate, and I'm also much more heightened and enlightened in my thinking. I'm listening more, I'm watching more, I'm, shall we say, taking it in more, spending more time with my family, much more time with nature. Why? It gives me a lot of answers. It's synergistic. So I'm out in nature. So, you know, this is just a little bit of a soliloquy, but I have to say that watching your participants was more meaningful for me than trying to figure out what I was going to say to them. And so I'm open for questions, but I'm also open to you, my dear friend, to ask me any question you want. And my limited knowledge, I'll try to answer only from my own experience.
Oh, I'm so delighted. Like, listening to you sparks such inspiration, and it's the wisdom. It's timeless. It's wisdom of the ages. And we were talking the other day when we were connecting on video, and you were sharing with me about this whole journey and all the things that you've seen over the years.
and you briefly mentioned it, the wars and polio. What would you say to people that are in a state of fear right now based on what's going on in the world, about them really being able to have a bigger vision of what's possible?
The most important thing is to make sure that what you're listening to is what you need to do to take action that's positive. So instead of being part of the problem, instead of being part of the catastrophe, instead of being part of the fires, instead of watching in horror, watch what you need to do to change your life, because that is the only control you have. You have control over your current thought, the way you respond to what you see and do, and your next thought and action. So make sure that you're taking in and giving out part of the solution. Make sure you're part of the solution. Instead of complaining, start training and gaining. Take it in, be compassionate, feel the sadness, and then do something in your own life about it. That's why I wake up every morning and say, what am I going to do? Thank you again, safe again, let's go. What can I do with this day to make one living creation better off for having met me this day? What can I do with this day? Thank you for this day. Before I go to sleep at night, I make sure I don't go to sleep on the evening news. I don't go to sleep watching what is happening all over the world and the United States and everywhere else. Yes, I watch it for a need to know for my family. I do. And I stay alert. I know what to eat. I know what I shouldn't eat. I know what to do. I know what I shouldn't do. But I only concentrate on my next positive step. Take each person close to me to be better off for me having talked to them about what we should do to solve the problem, not to relay to them the problem. The easiest thing to do is to protest, and I'm not talking about anything about negative protest. I'm saying the easiest thing to do is to be in the stands and watch. The hardest thing to do is to be taking action that's positive to change your life so that your example benefits the people that come in contact with you. So important to do that. And I try to do that every day. And I don't know how long I have to live, but I'm going to live every day as if it were my last. And I'm going to take every moment instead of wasting it and killing it and watching other people making money, having fun. That's another thing. Let me give you some good advice. Only watch a limited amount of television. Why? Because they want you to watch because they're making money and having fun while you're watching them doing what they love to do. Watch enough to inspire you. Watch enough to incite you. Listen to beautiful music. Watch things that are inspiring, but spend more time doing than viewing and stewing. Because by doing, you're changing your life, and by watching them, you're seeing mostly bad news when you're watching.
Dennis, you're so poetic. I love how poetic you are.
Well, I'm a lyricist. I grew up in radio. Remember we talked? There was no television when I was in high school. Oh boy, that tells you how, no TVs, only radio. So of course I have a phonographic memory. So, and I told you, so now I have R2D2, it's Are You Me Too. I have a little robot that goes around with me. I tell it what I'm thinking. I tell it what I see. I tell my little robot all my hopes and fears. He listens and remembers everything he hears. At first, my little robot followed my command, but after 88 years of training, he's followed my command. In other words, I listen to him because he tells me what to do, because I programmed him very well by giving him instructions subconsciously as if he were my software program inside of me. Change the software and the hardware will change as well.
Beautiful. Our chat box is on fire over here with appreciation for everything that you're sharing, Denis. They're calling you, let's see, they're saying, wow, the linguistic beauty and flow of your words. So everybody is loving that so much. So when you're programming this little robot, are you visioning? Right? You're visioning, you're speaking. You gave that formula a second ago.
Well, I'm doing what I've learned from the astronauts. The astronauts are playing Let's Pretend. So I am simulating. So the astronauts are masters at simulation. And simulation is observation, imitation, repetition, internalization. And the more you practice the right stuff, the more it becomes a reflex, like brushing your teeth or driving your car. So the astronauts go through it in Houston on the desert because it looks like the moon. It feels like the moon. It was desolate out there, and they fly the lunar excursion module up and down off the desert, and they go through every step and every motion. But it's not just looking in the mirror with an affirmation. It's a confirming belief. It's confirming what you already are committed to do, because it's very dangerous out there. And an Olympian has only one moment, and they must be at their best in that one moment of time. So what do? They practice for 1,200 days, the right moves with a coach, and the coach teaches them doing within when you're doing without. The best practice will be after you've gotten off the playing field. Why? Because on the playing field, you make mistakes, you get hurt. In real life, you get hurt. There's a lot of no's in real life. But in this marvelous imagination that you have, you never miss. You don't fall. You choose the move that you make in your imagination. And your robot doesn't know the difference. Hey, are you me too, R2D2? You tell me where you want to go, I'll take you there. You see, we have this GPS system, but instead of a global satellite positioning system, it's a goal positioning system within. We're target seeking by design. The way we were created was to seek our destiny, to look for the sun, to reach the oxygen, to grow to our full. Every living thing has that same thing in mind, reach its full potential. And it's trying to do that. So what we need to do is we take the words, pictures, emotions, the language, the moves, the feelings, because first you visualize, it gives you an emotional response. About 70% of life is what you see. That's why on television they show so much of what's wrong, because it gets your attention, gives you an emotional response, and then you respond to it visually, emotionally, and verbally. And I still will always believe till my last moment, the most important conversation you'll ever have is the silent one you have for your day until the moment you go into deep sleep. That conversation, what do you say when you talk to yourself? Are you reaffirming? Are you reinforcing? Are you talking about what you're going to do as a result of all the bad things that are going to happen? Or are you part of the victim? Why not be victorious? Instead of a victim, why not be a victor? Instead of being entitled, why not be empowered? Instead of wanting someone else to take care of you, why not say, this is what I'm going to do? You know, I've said for many years, there should be a Statue of Responsibility on Alcatraz to match the Statue of Liberty in New York Harbor. She brings in the immigrants. She says, bring me your tired and hungry, and I will give them the freedom to choose to live the way they want to. But in order to be free, you must take responsibility for the consequences of your actions. So you must really think about what you're going to do and what you're doing, so that what you're doing benefits you and others rather than is done at their expense. So I picture this statue. And Viktor Frankl and I talked about this, and he wrote Man's Search for Meaning. He was the psychiatrist who led the resistance movement in Auschwitz, and he said we should have a statue. And it could be on Alcatraz, because Alcatraz is a rusting reminder of lost freedom. It's closed and rusted now. It's a tourist attraction, but it should have a statue. And she should have an eagle in one hand, fly free, but a baby in the other hand, take care of the next generation. You're responsible not only for the freedom that and the way you use it, but what you set as a role model for those who are following you. And that's why I believe so much in personal responsibility, and believing that I'm as good as the best, but no better than the rest, that I'm not superior to anyone, and that I can learn something from everyone. It's difficult not to have prejudices and not to have leanings and not to have a tribal affiliation with somebody, but boy, I'm trying to be as open. And I treat everyone the way I think they want to be treated to feel at their best. So it's really the platinum rule. I treat everyone first thinking the way they want to be treated, because I don't treat them necessarily the way I want to be treated, because sometimes I can handle criticism. And so if people criticize me, sometimes it's well-meaning, but I want to treat them what will elevate their own feeling of self-worth. So my first thing is personal responsibility and the feeling that I have potential. And then believing enough in the potential to take the action and invest in myself, because I'm worth the effort. If I'm worth the effort to be better than I am, and if I make sure that what I'm doing is helping other people achieve their goals, then it's a double win. If I help you win, then I win too. And then I can say to you, I like me best when I'm with you.
I like me best when I'm with you, Dennis.
Thank you. So I waxed a little bit that I wasn't going to go into that, but I wanted to say that, you know, and I can't help being a lyricist. It's just built in. I know every song I've ever heard. I know the lyrics. I know the entire Wizard of Oz. I can do it for my great-grandchildren. And so I can do all these things wrote, and I must admit, therefore, I must have stolen the best works from history, and I'm just gushing them out. But when I was very young, I thought I could be anything, do anything, have everything. I wished upon a star and saw myself go everywhere throughout the world without a care. But somehow in between, I asked myself, should I see, could I be all this I see? Now at last I know the things that made me go so slow were early childhood fears that I should have long ago let go. So how do we know that this vision we have is real? How do we know that these things, these passions, are what we should really feel? Well, I think the secret to living the life that's within you is really quite simple to find. Leave all of your failures and doubts behind you and keep your eyes on what's directly inside. Cherish the loved ones around you. Stay true to the values you share. Let health and abundance surround you, and dream as big as you possibly dare. And what will happen to you is, what you should say is, as you ask for these things to come to, be careful, because don't wait for the future for those things to appear, because the future is already here. And that's why we have to be, and I especially know this, in my 88th year of my life, I must know that every moment that I live is precious, and every action I take is a diamond jubilee. And so I really appreciate very much being part of your program and being kind of somebody who comes along and says, you know, timeless wisdom and timely neuroscience go together. The brain is the most incredible invention ever created on the earth. It has the ability to be anything it wants, so different from the instinct of animals. So we have this incredible ability, and therefore I'm going to retrain my brain at my age to walk straight up, to keep my shoulders back, take up more space in the room, smile at everyone I meet, say good things. And when people say, what do you think about this rotten world we're living in? I'll say, you know, I've learned to take better care of my own life and my own business, and I'm trying to look out for my family. I'm hoping that I can help make things better, at least in my own life. And that's what I'm dedicated to. So whenever people say, what do you think about all those idiots and those, what do you think about everyone that's, I say, you know, I'm learning that I need to do a lot in order to make my life better. I need to learn a lot and need to take more action myself. I need to be a better role model. I do. And that's my response to all the bad things. I need to take this in and do something about it.
My heart is so full listening to you. And I can see all of our community is feeling the same, Dennis. You're receiving a lot of love over here in the chat box. If you can look, they're interacting with you. They're saying standing ovation is what they're giving you, and so much love.
Well, I really appreciate that, because I feel the same way. You know, I don't have any, I have a few regrets. Of course, one regret would be I traveled too much and didn't spend enough time with my family, and that's one. And I did waste a lot of time watching some sitcoms and things. And if I had it to do again, I'd read more and I'd be out there more. Instead of watching sports, I'd probably participate more in local things with my own children. I'd do those things. But after all is said and done, I hold no vengefulness to any human being on the earth. I have no vengeful thought, because revenge is the worst feeling of all, because it uses negative emotion and it doesn't get anyone anything. So make sure what you're doing is positive and part of the solution. And if you carry a placard around, well, I'm carrying a placard around, is I'm trying to make things better, but make sure you watch me to keep me honest.
Beautiful. And what would you say, last question on this, we've got our business quantum leap program is revealing master mentors. What would you say to people about the power of mentorship and having a mentor?
It is the greatest thing in the world to model yourself after people who've overcome enormous handicaps to become successful. They come in many ways. My grandmother helped me plant the seeds of greatness with a victory garden. She said, "You're a good boy." It was the first positive thing I ever heard. My grandmother said, "You mow a good lawn, you're a good boy." The rest of it was, "You'll be just like your father, and if you're not careful." So you learn from the mentors, and that's why I always say it takes a coach to have an athlete. Every Olympian has had a great coach who says, you know, you did that really well, but let me show you what you can do a little better next time. And the coaches actually watch and listen and draw out of you the potential you have within. They don't tell you what they did or how they did it. They're listening and bringing it out of you. And that's why it's so important to pick role models who you'd most admire. Not necessarily celebrities. They don't have to be a celebrity. They don't have to have been on national television. They can be people who've done what you want to do and done it well, or people who just have their stuff together and are willing to listen and draw out of you, ask questions, and then say, so given what we said, if it weren't for time, money, or circumstance, what would you do? What is your passion? I know what your pension is. Everyone wants to be rich. But if you choose your passion, your pension will increase. And I think it's so important then to have a mentor, role model, coach in your life. Because I've success by association. Are you kidding? Jonas Salk for me, Hans Selye, the father of stress in Canada, Admiral Lindbergh, Charles Lindbergh's widow, who had their baby kidnapped and killed, and Charles Lindbergh went off to Maui and left her, and she wrote Gifts of the Sea. I've learned more from coaches and mentors and authors than I could ever learn from just looking at my own life. And so I want people to draw out of me the best in me, but I want to learn from them. And I think that's what coaches and role models are for. I read a role model book almost every week, and I say, oh my gosh, they were much worse off than I've ever been, and yet they've done much better than I have. They're a better father, they're a better author, they're a nicer person, they're more accomplished. Not that I want to be an achievement-oriented person. I just want to help other people make a difference in their lives, which makes it my life worth living. That's all. I just want to make my life worth the time that I've spent. And one last thought. No one will ever remember how much money you spent on them, only the time and effort you spent with them. So the values you leave in other people and your children are much more significant than the valuables in your estate. So just remember, make sure that you give your children roots and wings instead of loot and things, because you'll always have them thank you for that special roots of self-development and wings of freedom.
Dennis, thank you so much from the depth of my heart for joining us and so graciously sharing your wisdom, your love. We can all feel your heart. How are you all feeling? Let's put in the comments. Share in 1 or 2 words. How are you feeling from Dennis's session? I'd love to hear from you all in the comments. Blessed, love, love, love. They're feeling you. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Grateful.
Thank you all. I'm seeing them too, and I thank you all. I feel the same way back to you.
Oh, so much love. So Dennis, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I look forward to continuing to share the seeds of greatness that you've blessed us with today. It's a joy and an honor to be with you.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate it. And I'll follow you, and I'm going to listen and learn from everything you continue to do. You're the next generation to carry it forward. And I sure appreciate being with your audience and with you. Thank you. And remember, failure is the fertilizer of success.
Yep, we get a whole bunch of that fertilizer over here.
A lot of it. I have bags of it right all around me, but it sure grows green. It grows green pastures, believe me.
That's been a theme today. You know, Marina just talked about failure today, and it's so true. Failure is the fertilizer of success. We're going to quote Dennis on that. We love that. Thank you, my dear friend. Deep love.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Fabulous.
Virtual hug.
Virtual hug. Give Brother Dennis a virtual hug. Fabulous. Okay, everyone. In a moment, we are going to have our guided visual meditation. What a blessing. What a joy. How many of you could feel the serene, fluid wisdom that pours forth with ease and grace from Dennis, this man's heart, this beautiful spirit, and it's his devotion. I'm looking at the comments right now, his devotion over a lifetime in his own journey, his own development, transforming his own deepest challenges into these seeds of greatness, these seeds of possibility. It's my greatest joy to have shared Dennis with you here today.
Thanks so much for joining us. I'm intending that you receive profound value from today's episode. I know I did. If you enjoyed today's session, I really appreciate you subscribing, liking, and giving us a 5-star review, then sharing this message with the people in your life and your communities, because it is so essential in this time. And be sure to tune into our next episode. I will see you on the next episode.